So we will continue from where we had left previously. As you might be aware, a jam board allows only a jam session will allow only 20 slides. So I will require one more jam session. I have already pre-recorded my slides. So I will share these slides after we finish up this set of 20 slides. So there are 3 more slides to be seen in this set. So we'll start with this question. A system is given by y of n is equal to n into x of n. Now you have to check whether the system is memoryless, causal, linear, time invariant, and stable. So obviously the system is memoryless. Why? Because y of n is equal to n into xn, and you see that the output at the time instant n depends only on the present input, that is x of n. So x of n is multiplied by n. Say for example, x of 0 is multiplied by 0. X of 1 is multiplied by 1, x of 2 is multiplied by 2, etc. So y of 0 depends only on x of 0, y of 1 depends only on x of 1, and therefore the output at the nth dimension depends only upon the input at the nth dimension, which means no memory is required here. So this system is memoryless. And this system is also causal because the output depends only on the present time instant, not on any future inputs. So this system is causal. Now have to check whether the system is stable. Sorry, the system is linear. The process is as before. We will consider a linear combination of x1n and x2n as the input x of n. So x of n is equal to alpha 1 x1n plus alpha 2 x2n. Then what we will do is we will find out the input to x of n. We will find the output when x of n is input. Sorry, we will find the output y of n when x of n is input, and then we will find out the individual outputs to x1n as input and x2n as input. We will call them as y1n and y2n, and we have to verify that the output when the input is a scaled sum of two input signals, the output will be the corresponding scaled sum of the respective output signals. So if that is satisfied, then you say the system is linear. If that is not satisfied, then the system is non-linear. So the transformation of x of n can be written as this is equal to n into x of n, y of n is equal to n into x n. So this can be written as n into alpha 1 x1n plus alpha 2 x2n. We will rearrange and write this as alpha 1 into n x1n plus alpha 2 into n x2n. So n x1n is the output when x1n is the input. So this is alpha 1 y1n plus this becomes alpha 2 y2n, and therefore the system is linear. Now to check whether the system is time invariant, we will define a delayed input x1n is equal to x of n minus n0, and you see that since the output when the input is x of n is n times x of n, so any input is multiplied by n. So transformation of x1n would be n times n into x of n minus n0. So the input is multiplied by n. Whatever is input is multiplied by n. So n into x of n minus n0. So when x1n is the input, that is when you have the delayed input x of n minus n0, then the output is n into x of n minus n0. Now let us start to find out what is y of n minus n0. You know that y of n is equal to n into xn. So y of n minus n0 is n replaced by n minus n0 becomes n minus n0 into x of n minus n0. And you see that this is not the transformation of x of n minus n0. It's n into x of n minus n0. Here we have n minus n0 into x of n minus n0. So the system is time varying. Now to check whether the system is stable, let us consider x of n is equal to u of n, which is a bounded signal. So you have a bounded input, and the output would be y of n is equal to n into u of n, which is your ramp sequence. Ramp sequence is like this. At n equal to 0, it's 0 into u of n. So that is 0. N is equal to 1, the output is equal to 1. N is equal to 2, output is equal to 2. N is equal to 3, output is equal to 3. And goes on. When n is equal to infinity, the output is equal to infinity. So which means the output is not bounded when the input unit step was given. Input was bounded, but the output is not bounded. So it is not stable therefore because the BI/BO condition is not satisfied. So now let us move on to the next set of jam slides. Okay, so let us now consider a system represented by y is equal to ax plus b. So y is equal to ax plus b can refer to either a continuous time system or a discrete time system. So which means I can write y of t is equal to a into x of t plus b, or I can also write y of n is equal to a into x of n plus b. Here y and x are your sequences, a and b are constants. So you have to check whether the system is linear. So you can proceed in the conventional manner where you thought of two signals x1n and x2n, and you formed a linear combination of x1n and x2n, and found out whether the output for this particular input was a linear combination of the corresponding outputs. Then if the above statement was satisfied, then you say the system is linear, or you otherwise say the system is not linear or non-linear. But to prove this, you only need to check a much simpler necessary condition. The necessary condition, you remember that we had discussed a necessary condition when we talked about linearity, in that for a zero input, the output also should be a zero. That is, without any input, you should not have any output. Okay, so let us see whether this system satisfies the necessary condition of the zero input case. So y is equal to ax plus b, let us put x is equal to 0, that is zero input. So which means y is equal to b. So even without any input, the output is equal to b. So which means the output is a non-zero. So the necessary condition is not satisfied, and hence the system is non-linear. So as an example, this could refer to a capacitor circuit like this. Say a capacitor is charging from a voltage source through a resistance. You have a switch connected like this, and the switch is closed at t equal to 0 when the capacitor starts charging. Now let us assume that the capacitor is not charging from 0. It has been initially charged from some voltage source, and then it has been connected to the circuit. So let us assume that this is initially charged. So that initial voltage across the capacitor can be thought to be this B, right? So you have a non-zero input here. So this will make this circuit non-linear. If the capacitor is initially charged, then this will make the circuit non-linear. So y is equal to ax plus b, where if b is non-zero, then the circuit is non-linear. If b is equal to 0, then the circuit is linear. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. So check if the following system is linear. Y of n is equal to x star of n, where x star of n refers to complex conjugate of x of n. So we are referring to a complex sequence here. X of n is a complex sequence, which means the elements of x of n are complex, and y of n is the conjugate of x of n. So which you can write x star of n, x star of n. So this is somewhat a special type of a system, because you see that one half of the superposition theorem is satisfied and the other half of the superposition theorem is not satisfied, as we will be showing them. Let us look at the additivity property. The additivity property, so if you have two inputs x1n and x2n, then the transformation of x1n plus x2n, which means the output when this input is equal to x1n plus x2n, is equal to x1n plus x2n star, which you can write as x1 star n plus x2 star n. Now x1 star n is the output when x1n was the input, which you can write as y1n, and this is the output when x2n is input, this you can write as y2n. So additivity property is therefore satisfied. Now let us look at the homogeneity property. Now the homogeneity property is verified by multiplying the input by a constant alpha. So transformation of alpha into xfn. See, whatever is happening here is you conjugate whatever is the input. So alpha into xfn, alpha can also be a complex value. Alpha is a constant, but it can be a complex constant as well. So transformation of alpha into xfn can be written as alpha star into x of n star. So that is x star of n, alpha star into x star of n. And now you see that transformation of alpha into x of n is not equal to alpha into transformation of x of n. So the system is not satisfying the homogeneity property or the scaling property, and therefore the system is non-linear. So it satisfies one half of the superposition theorem and does not satisfy the other half of the superposition theorem. So we'll move on to the next question now. Now a system has the input-output relationship given by y of n is equal to x of k0n, where k0 is a positive integer. Check if this system is time invariant. So you already have seen this system. This system is a downsampler. It downsamples the input sequence by k0, where k0 is a positive integer. For example, if you write y of n, say for example, if you write y of n is equal to y of n is equal to x of 2n, So y of n is equal to x of 2n, then this can be written as what here? This can be written as y of 0 is equal to x of 0. So y of 0 is equal to 1. Y of 1 is equal to x of 2. So x of 2 is equal to 5. So indices are, this is 0, this is 1, 2 and 3. So 0, 0th sample is 1 and the second sample is 5, right? Okay. So we have y of x of 2n is equal to 1, 5. So I will write this over here. X of 2n is equal to 1, 5. Now let me look at a very simple case where I am going to shift this by one sample, x of n minus 1. So there are no samples previously. So all the samples prior to 1, that means all the negative indexed samples are also equal to 0, are all equal to 0. And therefore, if I shift this by 1 unit to the right, the new sample that comes in is a 0. This I can write as 1, 3, 5, 7. So let me call this as x1n. And if the input is x1n, the output y1n is equal to x1 of 2n, which is equal to, see what are the values now? 0, that is x1 of 0, y1 of 1 would be x1 of 2, that is equal to 0, 3, and then y1 of 2 would be x1 of 4, that would be 7. So this is y1n, which means your response to x of n minus 1 at the input is 0, 3, 7, and the response to x of n at the input was equal to 1, 5. You see that this is not a shifted version of what you have here, which means obviously the system is not time invariant, or this downsampling process is not time invariant. For that purpose, this upsampling process is also not time invariant. That upsampling and downsampling you had verified, you had discussed previously when we discussed about signals. So we will go on to prove this mathematically. So y of n is equal to x of k0n, where k0 is a positive constant. So let us prove that it is not time invariant. So x1n is equal to x of n minus n0. Y1n is equal to transformation of x1n, which you can write as x of k0 n minus n0, right? Because this transformation is acting upon the independent variable n. So transformation of x1n can be written as x of the following two questions are very interesting and very important. The following two questions are interesting and very important. So the let T represent an LTI system. So T represents an LTI system. This transformation represents an LTI system. So you are given that the system is linear time invariant. Show that transformation of e raised to st is equal to lambda into e raised to st. Now this is very important. So we are looking at the output when the input is e raised to st. Okay. So you are looking at the output when the input is e raised to st, and you see that the output is lambda times the input. Or in other words, you see that where lambda is a complex constant, so e raised to st, t is the independent variable, s is a complex variable. So s is a variable here. So s is a complex variable. T is the variable. T is the independent variable here. Lambda is a complex constant here. So you see that this signal, the output signal, is a scalar multiple of the input signal. The output signal is a scalar multiple of the input signal. This will make e raised to st an eigenfunction and lambda as an eigenvalue. So now let us denote x of t is equal to e raised to st. X of t will denote as e raised to st. Y of t will denote as transformation of e raised to st. Now, since the system is linear and time invariant, we have transformation of e raised to s into t plus t0. Transformation of e raised to s into t plus t0. So I shifted this by t0 in the positive direction. So this is transformation of e raised to st into e raised to st0. So e raised to st0 I can take outside because the transformation acts on the independent variable t. So e raised to st0 into transformation of e raised to st. So this we can write as a transformation of e raised to st, it's equal to y of t. So transformation of e raised to s into t plus t0 is equal to e raised to st0 into y of t. Okay. So which means y of t plus t0 is equal to e raised to s0 into y of t. Y of t plus t0. So transformation of e raised to s into t plus t0 is y of t plus t0. So y of t plus t0 is equal to e raised to s t0 into y of t. So now let us put t equal to 0 in this equation. This will make y of t0 is equal to e raised to s t0 into y of 0. I'll rewrite as y of 0 into e raised to t0. Now here t0 is an arbitrary constant. T0 can take any value. You can take the value of t. So I can put, instead of t0, I can put any value for t and write this as y of t is equal to y of 0 into e raised to st. Y of 0 into e raised to st. And y of 0, what is y of 0? Y of 0 is the value of y of t at t equal to 0. It's a constant. We will replace the constant as lambda. So you can write y of t is equal to lambda into e raised to st. So lambda into e raised to st. Okay. So this means for an LTI system, when e raised to st is the input, the output is lambda times the input, where lambda is a scalar constant. This scalar constant can be a complex constant. However, this lambda, it's a constant, however. So this makes e raised to st the eigenfunction, and lambda as the eigenvalue. This assumes great significance when we discuss Laplace transforms in the third module. Okay. So now we will also move on to the discrete equivalent of this result that we have seen here. And that discrete equivalent is this. For a discrete time LTI system, show that transformation of z raised to n is equal to lambda z raised to n. Previously, this was e raised to st. Now you have z raised to n, where z is a complex variable. So here z is a complex variable. Complex variable. So we'll prove this like this. So let x of n is equal to z raised to n, and transformation of z raised to n is equal to y of n. So since the system is time invariant, as before, we will write y of n plus n0 is equal to transformation of z raised to n plus n0. I will take z raised to n0 outside because the transformation acts on the independent variable n only. So z raised to n0 into transformation of z raised to n, which we can write as z raised to n0 into y of n, or in other words, y of n plus n0 is equal to z raised to n0 into y of n. So as before, we will put n is equal to 0 and rewrite the equation. So this becomes y of n0 is equal to z raised to n0 into y of 0. We'll rewrite as y of 0 into z raised to n0. Now n0 is a constant, so it can take any value. So you can put n0 equal to 0, n0 is equal to minus 1, plus 1, plus 2, etc. For all these, this will be satisfied. So in general, I can write y of n is equal to y0 into z raised to n, or y of n is equal to lambda into z raised to n, where lambda is equal to y of 0. So thus for a discrete LTI system, the output when z raised to input is a scalar multiple of the input itself. This is very important, and this will lead to z transforms later, which we'll discuss in the fourth module. So we'll discuss in the fourth and fifth module. So this makes z raised to n an eigenfunction and lambda as the eigenvalue of the system. Okay. Now we move on to the last question, which is to check for the invertibility. Now you have studied about the inverse systems. So what's an inverse system? So if we have a system where you apply x of t and you get y of t here, then if the system is invertible, you can design a system. If this is t, the system would be t inverse, so that you get an output x of t here. So you should be able to get back the exact input that is appearing here. So let us check for invertibility of the system. So if y of t is equal to 2 into x of t, see whether it is invertible. So it's very easy to see that you can write x of t is equal to y of t by 2. So therefore the system is invertible. Now the second is when y of t is equal to x square t. So y of t is equal to x square t. So which we can write as square root of y of t. Square root of y of t is x of t. But you also see that square root of y of t is also equal to minus x of t, because minus x of t into minus x of t is equal to x square t, right? Square root of 25 is either plus 5 or minus 5. You have two solutions to square root of 25. It's either plus 5 or minus 5. So if you had a plus 5 here and if you had 25 here, you can have minus 5 here, because that's also an answer. So these are not the same. Therefore, you have two solutions, and therefore the system is not invertible. The inverse can be either x of t or x of minus t, and therefore the system is not invertible. You cannot find out what was the input. because there are more than one solutions here. Now, the next question is y of t is equal to integral minus infinity to t x of tau d tau. So you see that x of t can be written as d by dt of y of t, and so therefore the system is invertible. And the next system is y of n is equal to sigma n is equal to minus infinity to n x of k. Okay, so you have a system like this: y of n is equal to sigma k equal to minus infinity to n x of k. So if I write y of n minus 1, what would be y of n minus 1? That would be sigma k equal to minus infinity to n minus 1 x of k. So it adds all values up to x of n minus 1. Here it adds all values up to x of n. So therefore y of n minus y of n minus 1 should be equal to x of n. So therefore you write x of n is equal to y of n minus y of n minus 1. This is therefore an invertible system. This you call as an accumulator. Accumulates all input values from minus infinity to the present time instant. For an accumulator, the present input can be inverted as the present output minus the previous output. So this is called as the backward difference. So therefore the backward difference is the inverse of the inverse system for an accumulator. Is that understood? So a backward system is an inverse system. Backward difference system is an inverse system for an accumulator. Okay. And finally, y of n is equal to n into x of n. Let us see whether n into x of n is invertible. Here you can write x of n is equal to 1 by n into y of n. Now this seems to be okay, but however, see whether you can find out x of 0. So for x of 0, this becomes 1 by 0 into y of 0. So 1 by 0, what is 1 by 0 is infinity. So for n equal to 0, there is a division by 0, and so therefore x of n cannot be evaluated at n equal to 0. So therefore the system is non-invertible, right? So whatever be the value of x of n, say let us think of x of 0 as equal to, let us see, think of x of 0 is equal to 5. So what will be y of 0? Y of 0 will be definitely 0, because 0 into 5 is equal to 0. If x of 0 is equal to, let us say, 8, then also y of 0 is equal to 0. So from 0, from this information alone, you will not be able to find out whether the input at the 0th time instant was 5 or 8 or whatever value. So therefore this system cannot be inverted. This system is non-invertible. Okay, so that is all about the tutorial sessions for today. We will discuss about the convolution sum that we had studied in the previous session, which is what we will continue tomorrow. So tomorrow also, I'm afraid there, if